This is for experiment 1, which are for your cations of the first group. The unknowns would be mercury, lead, and silver respectively. For this unknown 1, we will start by dropping 10 drops of the unknown into a separate test tube. And add 3F HCl 4 drops. Go. After adding 4 drops of 3FHCl, we have to centrifuge our solution at 3 minutes. As you can see, it should be balanced.
Cut pa niya. Yan again. 3 minutes. Din yung ando.
3 minutes has passed.
Kamutan ka
Mm-hmm. These are known. After that, we have to drop 1 drop of 3F HCl. After dropping, we have to centrifuge again for 3 minutes. So after centrifugation, this will be the result. After that, we have to wash it with 10 drops of cold water. When we wash, after we wash, we add 1 drop of 3F HCl to the solution. There, and then we discard the water that we used by decanting it over the sink. And then you will see that the precipitate is left. After that, we have to put 6 to 7, we prefer 7 drops of water. After adding, we'll put it in our water bath, preheated water bath. As we continue to put it in our water bath, we have to stir it continuously for 3 minutes. After continuously stirring it for 3 minutes inside the water bath, we take it out. And then we centrifuge it for another 3 minutes onto the centrifuge. After centrifugating for 3 minutes, we take it out of the centrifuge. At this point, we should have readied our 2 test tubes because we are going to separate the supernatant from the precipitate. So here is our supernatant. After that, we have to add 4 drops of 1F potassium dichromate. So that is our end product. Yellow precipitate. This is our second experiment. Second unknown. So we follow the same steps. We add 10 drops of the unknown into our test tube. Plus 4 drops of 3FHCl. Then you mix it thoroughly. Then we centrifuge for 3 minutes. After centrifugation, we will take it out of the centrifuge. And then we add another drop of 3FHCl. Then we centrifuge again for 3 minutes. After centrifugation, we have to decant. You have to decant. The centrifugate or the supernatant, you have to decant. Then you have to wash it with 10 drops of H2O plus 1 drop of 3FHCl. After that, we have to discard the H2O, discard the water, and the remaining precipitates. We have to add 6 to 7 drops of H2O, or water, sorry. And we heat it in our water bath as we stir it for 3 minutes. This is what we have taken out of the water bath. After that, we centrifugate it for another 3 minutes. So after our centrifugation, as you remember, a while ago, we decanted this, separating the supernatant and the residue. A while ago, what we used was the supernatant for our first unknown. So we have to decant. This is our second unknown. Just to review, on our first unknown, when we added how many drops? 4 drops of potassium dichromate, there was a yellow precipitate that was formed. Just to show you the difference, on this one, there is a yellow coloration. However, the precipitate is not yellow, unlike our first unknown. There is a yellow coloration, but there is no yellow precipitate form. So therefore, this is not the first one, this is not our first unknown. So the residue, for our unknown number 2, we add 10 drops of 3F and H. 10 drops of 3F NH3 or our ammonium. So this is now our mixture. After that, we stir it with our stirring rod just to completely mix. And then we centrifuge it again for another 3 minutes. And so that is after our centrifugation. After we centrifugate, we will discard the supernatant, but for our third unknown, the supernatant will be used. For this unknown, the residue will be used. So we will decant the supernatant, and then the residues will be left. After that, we have to add 10 drops of H2O. So this is technically your washing stage. After we wash, we decant the water. After decanting the water, with the precipitate, we add 2 drops of concentrated NH03. 2 drops. Concentrated HNO3. And 5 drops water. And lastly, 2 drops of SnCl2. As you can see, a whitish precipitate is formed. Let me fix the camera. A whitish precipitate is formed. That is our second unknown.
For our last unknown, we'll make use of the same general steps as how we have determined our first and second unknowns. Okay, so first is, okay, as you guys have remembered, if you could remember, we'll add 10 drops of our unknown in a clean, separate test tube. So we add 10 drops of our unknown into a clean test tube labeled with U3, okay, for unknown 3. Okay, so we add 10 drops. and a single drop of 3FHCl. Oh, 4 drops. Sorry. 4 drops of 3FHCl prior to centrifugating our mixture of the unknown 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we centrifuge our sample containing the unknown 3. Okay, so right after centrifugating our unknown 3, we add a single drop of 3FHCl, and right after we have it centrifuged. Okay. So this is the look of our unknown 3. Okay, right after centrifugating and right after adding a single drop of 3FHCl, which will have centrifuged. Okay, so right after centrifugating, we began the supernatant and will only make use of the residue or the precipitate, for unknown 3 to go on with our procedures in determining what our unknown is. Okay, so again, we would have to decant our supernatant into the sink. Wow. Then going on with our procedure, we add 10 drops of water into our sample for the washing procedure. So by the way, this would be the look of our sample right after centrifugating. The remaining residue, we'll have 10 drops of water to it. And 1 drop of 3FHCl. Okay, so this makes up the washing step of our procedure. And then right after adding the 10 drops of water and a single drop of 3FHCl, we discard what we've added. And the residue shall remain in our sample. And then right after, we add 7 more drops of water to our sample. And then right after adding 7 drops of water into our unknown 3, we'll leave it in a water bath for 3 minutes while continuously stirring the unknown or our sample. So right after leaving our unknown 3 in the water bath for 3 minutes with constant stirring or agitation, this would be the look of it. And right after that step of our entire procedure, we'll centrifugate it again for another 3 minutes before going on with our succeeding steps. So right after centrifugating our sample containing the unknown 3, for our test tube containing the unknown 3, we'll have to decant the supernatant that we get from it into a clean test tube. Just as what we've done with the previous unknowns, for unknown 1 and unknown 2. So we'll have to save the supernatant. For a reason we'll have to explain later. So the residue must remain in the test tube, which contains our unknown 3. To which we'll have to add 10 drops of 3F NH3. Okay, we add 10 drops of 3F NH3. After adding 10 drops of 3FNH3, we will have to stir our sample. And then right after stirring our sample, we'll have to centrifuge it for another 3 minutes. Okay, okay, so this is our sample containing the unknown 3, or our test tube containing the unknown 3. So this should be the look of it right after centrifugating. Okay, and on for our last step. Okay, right after centrifugating our sample, we would have to decant our supernatant, okay, into a clean test tube. Okay. So the residue will have to remain in our original test tube containing the unknown 3. As for our unknown 3, we'll have to make use of our supernatant instead of the residue. However, we'll have to save it still. Okay. So in our supernatant, okay, we add 2 drops of 3FHNO3. So in our test tube containing the unknown 3, we add 2 drops of 3FHNO3. And right after, we would have to observe, okay, the reaction that comes after it, after adding 2 drops of 3FHNO3. And as you could see, okay, a white precipitate has formed right after adding 2 drops of 3FHNO3 to the supernatant, which we got right after centrifugating our sample.
And in comparison, here are 3 unknowns for group 1 cation. You can see the difference in their precipitates. On the leftmost is our unknown 1, unknown 2 on the center, and the unknown 3 on the last. First one has yellow precipitate, the second one has grayish to white precipitate, and the last one has a white precipitate.